Cabra Sugar too. They don't just run away with the ESS Cup. Of course, with BlakBlad trying to make sure that they still avoid the relegations. And of course, the big one we said is the Kenya Cup match pitting KCB, who are the defending champion. And have been so fantastic in terms of not just the longer version of rugby, but even the shorter version of the sevens rugby nationally. Talk about being a dominance force. I mean, Curtis Lilako, who has been captaining the team, and I think he has at least 3 titles to his name. We'll be talking to him. I don't want just to speculate about the titles he has, but if you allow me to talk to Curtis Lilako, who has been captaining this team for a very long period. Curtis, first of all, what has made KCB being able to dominate for the last, I think for the last 4 seasons, you have been able to dominate the 15th version of rugby?
I think I'd say what is working for us is consistency. Yeah. Before we won our first, I'd say our 4th title in the 2014-2015 season, we had struggled a bit in the previous 3 or 4 seasons. I think what won us there from that time till now has been our consistency. We have a good bulk of players at the club who are competing for the same positions, and they're working really hard to actually get the jerseys. So there's a great pool of competition at KCB, and also we have a really great, I'd say a really great management team, from our coach to our assistant coaches and to the SNC. So I'd say there are a lot of good things that are working for us, and we are using them as our strengths to be where we are.
Talk of strength and even having the perfect formation in terms. I know I had an interview in the past with Curtis, the coach, and he told me about how he was keen to change the whole rugby scenario. You've been part of the Kenya Simbas. I mean, you're coming back from the injury. Maybe that's why I have not seen you last year in the Kenya Simbas, but you expect to see you back. Let's talk about your situation. You're coming back from the injury. How does it mean for you? I mean, you're back to the game that you love.
It's always good coming back from an injury and actually getting a chance to play even at the level you're doing before. So I actually featured last year in the Simbas for 2 games against Uganda and against Zimbabwe, and also against Namibia. So I got my injury during the Namibia game. I was out throughout the floodlights, and I think the first 2 games of the season, it wasn't easy, watching my boys play and me wanting to be there. But I'm glad that I'm back, and I got to just get a chance to continue playing with the boys in the Kenya Cup.
The biggest conversation we've had, of course, with the Kenya Simbas trying to qualify for the Rugby World Cup is how, not to make maybe the people who are representing us in the forwards feel like they are small, but I mean, the experience that the likes of Curtis have brought into the squad, we missed it in France, we missed it against Namibia. How do you feel when you have like Kenyans discussing of your impact to the national team? How do you feel?
Well, I don't know what to say. I haven't thought about that before. I'd say maybe the coaches came with a new strategy, and maybe they wanted to see the different kinds of players we have. It was unfortunate that most of us who were there before couldn't make it. But again, when someone comes with a new strategy, there's nothing you can actually do about it. People will always talk because we missed the chance, and maybe I think this was the time we knew we could do it. But it's also a learning curve from both the players to the management, even the union. I think from now we know what we need to do better, judging from the games we played with the bigger guys. I'd say the bigger guys. Yeah, we have another 4 years to start preparing, and I think hope is not lost. Yeah, we always learn from the mistakes we make.
I know you want to go and do some strapping. Finally, before I let you go and do some strapping ahead of the big game against BlakBlad RFC, Curtis, I mean, the Kenya Cup this season, people have been talking about the Kenya Cup being so competitive this season. You lost a match against Nondis, who have been so impressive this season. Cabra Sugar have not yet lost a match, but we have seen them being challenged by the likes of BlakBlad. I know we are saying it's competitive as the media personalities, but we don't play the game. You play the game, so you know better. How is the opposition? How you describe the Kenya Cup, the 2018-2019 season?
I think I even posted about it, and you've talked to a couple of guys also about it. It's actually a different season. Even of course the shocker, KCB losing to Nondis, and not losing to the Nondis that people are used to before. The Nondis for old guys and maybe more white guys than other teams, but a young Nondi side, having players from here, from BlakBlad, having players from just smaller teams, people you don't know, you even talking about being beaten by guys you don't know their names. They're actually taking names, they're beating big teams. You see the likes of Mean Machine playing really good rugby despite losing, but if you look at their games, they're actually giving teams a run for their money. you just look at how even Harlequins is coming back now. People have been talking about Harlequins, but now you see the game that they're playing. I think people were expecting KCB to be leading now. And now you see Cabras doing it. I'd say it's a very it's a season that we have actually been wanting to have, where you're not sure of any game.
The competition is tight.
It's tight and it's good. That's what rugby in Kenya needs.
Yeah.
We don't want to always. It's just 5 games in and people are already saying it's going to this specific team. This is how it's supposed to be. Each team coming to the pitch and giving their all. Yeah. And I think if you continue more of that, if the teams continue bringing more of that, we'll have even a better chance for coaches to call players in the national team, and we can have better results.
You mentioned about Queens, and I revisited my history books, and it's only KCB and Kenya Harlequins who have been able to win the Kenya Cup unbeaten run. I think Queens was back in 2012, and yours was even lately. You were able to win it, and even there's a season you won a treble. Like last weekend, match day 6, you humbled Mean Machine to 50 points to 3. University side that is coming back to the Kenya Cup against BlakBlad. Do we expect the same scenario?
Hopefully, yes. Our target is definitely to win, and win with a bonus point. And I think we have a bit of pressure from Cabras who are winning games with large margins. I think they're doing something that other teams are envious of. If you manage to get the score, then definitely that's what you're working for. But our first aim is to just get the bonus point victory.
All the best, Curtis, and hopefully you can still record that win. Hope to see you back in the Kenya Simbas. Asante sana, manze. Florence, well, you heard it from the captain, Curtis Lilako, talking about how KCB, they have prepared themselves, of course, and they are keen to make sure that Cabras don't just run away with the Kenya Cup title this season. And I mean, it's going to be a tough one. You always know, and I remember once upon a time we even had a bet of KCB and Cabras is going to take the Kenya Cup, and I think I won, but we are going to check that and get our facts right, whether you won or whether I won. Of course, the host team, that is BlakBlad RFC, currently the ESS match going on. Moto Williams is responsible of taking, is the man who is at the helm, who's taking care of the ESS side. And of course, he plays a role of helping Mike Tank in the Kenya Cup. Let me talk to Moto. I know, Moto, you're following up on the match. Yeah. I know you're following up on the match, but if we can have a quick conversation about how BlakBlad this season. I know opponent visiting Black Bean has not been an easy one. Cabra Sugar, the match you played here was a very tight one. In fact, if you check the score in terms of the scoreline, you have been able to record a very decent scoreline against Cabra Sugar, who have been so ruthless this season. Let's talk about what are you doing that is making BlakBlad coming. Starting of the season, people say that BlakBlad is going to be relegated. You are sitting in position 9. What are you doing right?
Oh, thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah. Now, as you all know that we're dealing with students, we all have different kind of problems, and like established clubs like KCB. What I can say is that these students, the main thing that they're doing right is playing from the heart, not playing for money, not playing for anything else, playing because of passion that they have. Now, as you all know, the same way you said, I'm the current strength, fitness and conditioning coach. So I've been able to do my job right, and I'm glad that the students have also been able to cope with whatever we've been doing, focusing on the strengths, because most of them, if you look at the sizes, most of our opponents are bigger in terms of sizes, but we focus on the strength so that we can be able to match them.
And anyone who is traveling to face you at the BlakBlad Bean knows it's never easy facing BlakBlad at their home turf. I mean, Moto, you have been a player, you have been a ref. I remember once upon a time you refed a match somewhere. You are jack of all trade. What is it with you with rugby? I mean, how you have fallen in love with rugby, that you are taking different roles in terms of trying to grow some of these young talents. But let's talk about your ESS team is not doing so well. If I may say, I think you have recorded only 1 win. I mean, what's the biggest challenge?
Oh, very good. First thing you've said that I'm a master of all. Yeah, I'm master of all trades and master of all as well. Jack of all trades and master of all. Now, first thing I can say, ESS have not been doing pretty well, and the main reason is because most of them we do give them, most of them are recovering from injuries. Then again, most of them are just coming straight from high school, so we try to give them that kind of experience that they need before we can take them to Kenya Cup. If you look at our Kenya Cup, it's more established. Most of them have jailed for like 3 or so years. They have been, yeah, but for ESS, most of them are just coming straight from secondary. So most of them are first years, second years, and maybe a few third years who are just recovering from injury. So that's the main challenge that we've been battling as an institution.
I know you're needed somewhere, but I think we can make it quick. But before I let you go, let's talk about the situation of the Kenya Cup this season. I mean, people have been talking about it being so competitive. There is no team that you can say that you can be able to record a century again. It's so tight. We have come from the days that the likes of KCB used to record centuries against some Kenya Cup side. And I mean, even Oilers, as much as Oilers and Strathmore back in the relegation zone, if they can be able to record wins and you lose matches, they can be able to catch up with you. Let's talk about today's match against KCB, who are the defending champion. I know it's a tight one, but what's your take on it?
Well, as you've said, KCB, they're the defending champions. Of course, they have high stakes coming to Bloodbean, but they know it's not going to be easy. As a team, as a club, we are also aware of their scare. But we're going to. I believe my boys are going to contain them. Winning might be a big deal. Winning might be a big deal for us, but I believe by the end of the 80 minutes of Kenya Cup match, I believe that we'll be able to record vital points. Yeah, be it 1, be it 2. Yes, or even 4. I know this is rugby and anything can happen. But if you look at, and we also have, I'm glad that the fans are able to come and at least cheer the boys. So today we want to pick those points because as you are aware, Strathmore have traveled to Oilers ground. Yeah, they're playing against Oilers. Yes, and Strathmore are sitting number 12 right now. Oilers are number 10.
Number 11, then 10, Mean Machine, then
yes.
BlakBlad, number 9.
Yeah, so if they can, and if you see the difference between us and them, it's difference of 4. So if they can merge with the 5 points, it means that they're going to go above us, yes, unless we pick those vital points. And as you've said, this season is a very tough one. Yeah, there's no guarantee that Cabras is going to run away with this thing, though they are the favorites for this year. Yeah. Then there's no guarantee that Strathmore are going back to relegation. Though, as it says right now, maybe they're pretty sure that they're going. So we don't want to take chances. We don't want to take chances. And our target for this year, before we start the second half of the season, we need to pick at least 4 more points and at least 2 more wins for this one before we go back for the return leg against Strathmore and against UN Mean Machine.
I hope Mbai is listening to you or watching you. You're saying that they are comfortable in the relegation zone. I hope he's watching you. But again, Moto, let's talk about your formation today, the Kenya Cup. You are part of of deciding who is going to start. I see Arcadius Kwesa, you are Speedster on the bench. There is a lot of changes that were made probably from the squad that played against Homeboys and you narrowly lost. Let's talk about some of the changes and why you have maybe decided to rest the likes of Arcadius.
Oh, that's a very good very good notification from you. Yeah. Now, you see, as a technical bench, you have to come up with techniques and tactical approach of the game. Now, us putting Arcadius to come off the bench, we have a reason why we are doing so. And as I have told you, next weekend we are going to host Menengai Oilers on this ground. Yeah, so for us, that one is much important than even this KCB against. So most of my players have rested them or they're starting off the bench so that I can also get to expose the other talents that have not been using over time. But again, we have those crucial matches that we have to win. Then we have these matches that we have to get at least points from them. Yeah, so that is technical and tactical.
Technical and tactical. I love that, technical and tactical. In fact, I'm smelling, or rather, I'm having an image of what you want. You want to surprise someone with bringing in Arcadius. But lastly, before I let you go, the current situation in the Kenya Sevens team. I know you're having some of your players, prospect players, the likes of Arcadius, they are prospect players for the Kenya Sevens team. Brian Ohainya is representing BlakBlad. It's not the first time we'll have the likes of Oscar Oyodi. If we start talking about some of the biggest talent that have come out of our BlakBlad RFC and represented the Kenya Sevens team, we have a lot of talent. But how would you talk about the current situation where we don't have some of our experienced players represent the Kenya Sevens team? I know you have something to say. You are a stakeholder.
Well, as I can say is right now we are in a sorry state. Sorry state to mean that we don't have that exit strategy. You see, exit strategy, if you look at a team like South Africa, if they bring their team too, they can be able, the young ones, they can be able to surprise even the bigger teams. But for us, we've over-relied, over and over again, we've over-relied on the big names. Yeah, then again, for this one now, it's a bit tough because we've just shifted off all the big names from the field of play. Then we've brought in new faces. So I know it's going to be hard for them, especially to catch up. We've witnessed it in the first 2 legs, but at least I believe this one they're going to at least to go a step further. Of course, we don't we don't want to give to overload or overburden them. I know it's going to be a tough one, but it's bound to happen. That kind of strategy, the exiting, old guys will go, new guys will come in, but I think it should be happening in a systematic way. So it's only that the union, as they say, doesn't have money to pay the big guns. Yeah, so we just have to depend on the other guys to deliver. But I know it will take them time, possibly even all of this year they can just try to put their foot inside there before they can start picking up maybe next season or the other season. But let us just give them the benefit of doubt.
Benefit of doubt. Asante sana Moto. Go talk to your team and hopefully you can still record a win, not just in the ESS and even in the Kenya Cup. We are fully behind BlakBlad. Loyal to the flow. Well, Florence, you heard it from William Moto. He's currently taking, of course, he's the coach for the ESS side, and of course, he's helping Mike Tank in terms of the big team, the Kenya Cup side. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic match from 4 p.m. KCB taking on BlakBlad RFC. We talk about how they are placed. KCB currently behind Kabra Sugar with only 5 points. And of course, BlakBlad sitting at position 9. Not comfortably, because if you look at whoever is behind them, you'll find that there is a very small gap between them and 12th place Strathmore Leo. So they are very careful to record at least, not if most, they can be able to record at least 4 points and be able to cement their position, not just in the 9th position, or maybe they can even surprise us with making it to the playoff. Of course, I'll be looking to the team starting lineups and be sharing some of the details, some of the changes that we expect to see. Of course, we talk about KCB having the likes of Andrea Monde coming in for Brian Nyikulu, who is bench, and of course Acadias, their BlakBlad speedster, sitting on the bench. But as we heard from Moto William, it's a tactical approach. They know what they are doing. They want him to come into the second half and probably change the whole gameplay. We'll be keeping you up to date with anything that's going to happen from the Black Pin. I mean, you better keep it KUTV for more and more updates, Kenya Cup updates. Back to you, Florence.